Salam, welcome back to my channel, and I'm outside in the natural daylight so that you can see how the makeup is looking. So if you're interested in seeing how I got this makeup look, continue watching the video. Okay? There's a lot of first times and trials, so we shall see how it goes. Finishing makeup around 1:30, 1:29, some part there of, and right now it's 2 o'clock. I do nothing. I do nothing. So it really shouldn't be moving within a 30 minutes time. Anyways, so we shall see how it hold up for the rest of the day. But points out that I do have a lot of creasing by my eyes and horrible dark circles, so I just need to put some stuff to conceal the dark circles. Alright, so we shall see if the technique that I try look. Hello and welcome to my channel, and we're going to do first impressions. So the first thing I'm going to use is this brow gel, and I just want to brush my hairs in the direction that I would like for it to stay. And let me just say for now, I do not like this brow gel because I find it take way too long to dry. Okay, so me most of the times when I put on makeup to go somewhere in a rush. Okay, so I don't have time to be sitting and waiting for the brow gel to dry. Hello, we got time for that. Anyways, so you see me here just pressing on the hair to make sure it stay in place where I want it to, and then I'm going to use some hyaluronic acid because I tried a new technique for my under eyes. Okay, because I have some dark circles, I also have some creases under my eyes, so it's not that it's smooth like a baby bottom. Okay, like some people, I'm not one of those people. I need the makeup, as you can see, dark circles plus texture. Okay, so I try and trick with the hyaluronic acid. Well, not really a trick. I didn't really say a trick per se with hyaluronic acid. The trick, what I see everybody talking about, is to make sure the under eyes is moisturized, and in my opinion, I think hyaluronic acid gives me the most moisture, so I'm trying hyaluronic acid. Off camera I did put on some moisturizer, although I know I do it backwards. It's supposed to be hyaluronic acid then the moisturizer, but I do it backwards, but let's ignore that. Okay. Anyways, so here I am putting on some brow gel that I normally do, and this is where I realize that I really am not liking this the eyebrow gel or whatever. Not the gel, the one before, because it was still wet, and because of how it was still wet, it was picking up more of the eyebrow gel that I would like, or that will usually pay off, because it was still wet. So I had to take some napkin there and try and diffuse the situation. Okay, it helped, but it's a strong brows. Okay, I don't normally have strong brows like that. Anyways, first time using this jelly primer as well. I like the texture, it feels very nice. The only thing though, because I am doing this voiceover days after, the only thing though, I do not think this primer works well with all foundations, right? And I'll tell you why. Because around my mouth and under my eyes are the areas that I have problem with creasing or separating with makeup and whatnot, right? And with my eyes, nothing happened. It didn't crease up and thing like that, right? It worked perfectly. So I don't know. I believe the under eye is the technique as well as this primer as well, because as you can see, I placed that primer all over my face and under my eyes. Okay, yeah. And when I use this foundation, the areas that only have that foundation, it didn't have no problems. Okay, but anyways, this foundation, it doesn't have my complexion, so I need to mix and match, right? To get my color. And when I mix those two colors, I get my perfect shade. Okay, I'm somewhere on the in between. I am those two foundations child. Okay. So I just applying that with my fingers, and then I'm going to use the brush from Real Techniques, the foundation brush, and stipple that in my face. I go back and forth between brush and sponge, to me it depends on what you want, right? Because I like to use both of them. If I'm being honest with you, I like the brush for like initial application, and I like the sponge because I find the sponges give you a more airbrush blend, if that makes sense. However, the sponge do tend to take up more foundation on your skin than the brush. The brush will leave more foundation on the skin, and the sponge will take up more foundation from your skin. So if you want more coverage, go with a brush. If you want a lighter coverage and like a smoother finish, go with the sponge. Alright, so back with the technique for my under eye. So this is the color corrector that I'm going to use. I'm going to put out some on the back of my hand because I don't have a palette, but I will be getting one soon. But anyways, for now, the back of my hands are my palettes. So I'm using that fluffy but dense-ish kind of brush, and I'm dabbing into the color and diffusing it before I put it under my eyes. And when I mean diffuse it, I mean I evenly distribute it within the brush, and I try not to pick up too much at a time because with the texture that I have under my eyes, hello honey, we need to take our time and apply in some light layers, okay? So this is why we need to do the color corrector, because I have dark circles and I don't want to do too much concealer. But you see a little difference there already, the before and after. Anyway, so you don't want to do too much concealer because of the texture, and too much concealer will just make the texture look loose, right? So it needs to be applied in layers, and take our time and do each layer. And apart from each layer, we also need to make sure and keep under the eye hydrated, so that way the skin will be nice and plump and flexible, and the makeup itself should be flexible with the skin, if that make any sense, right? So to help me with that kind of flexibility and moisture, I am using this mixture here. It is with chisel, water and glycerin. Right, I put that on the brush and I apply that under the eye along with the color corrector, and then I let that sit for a little bit, and then I let it dry down, move on to the other parts of my face, put on my blush. This is my first time putting blush in this area. Okay, you may not make most people may not make out the difference with the placement and the blush, but for me I don't usually put blush that high. Okay, as I put a little, like a little bit lower. Okay, don't make much difference, sorry, but it make a difference to me. Okay, I don't normally put blush that high, and I don't know how I feel about it yet. I mean, I know to most people that looks the same, but to me, I could spot the difference. Okay, it's a little higher than I would normally put it. But anyways, going back with that same mixture with chisel, water, glycerin, right? This is the foundation I was talking about. The areas that I put this foundation, it's kind of separated and was looking horrible, like especially around my mouth and my forehead. Yeah. So I would not be mixing this foundation with that primer at all. And this foundation is supposed to be a Lumi foundation, so it has like, little highlight particles in it. So imagine the highlight with the creasing. It just make everything look worse. Right? So the areas that I had problem with this was just to see where that brush is in out here around my mouth where the smile lines and things be. Yeah, that way the separation and thing happen, as well as my forehead. Exactly where it have it there right now is where it was creasing. So just keep that in mind if you're using that jelly primer with this foundation. Alright, so after everything is blended, we're going to contour with this contour sticker right here. Right, I actually really like this formula. It is very easy to work with, right? And what I also like about it is that it pigmented enough that you could see the difference, but it not too heavily pigmented that it would make you feel overwhelmed while applying it. So that's why I like it, and it's easy, very easy to blend. It's easily blendable, which is perfect because we don't want to be cooling the skin too much. You understand? It's easily blendable, buildable. I love it. Don't change a thing about this formulation, please. And then I apply that on my nose as well. Not too much though. Although, like I see the difference on the camera, I am seeing the difference because, in person, there's pick up more than on camera, no matter how good the camera is, in my opinion. Okay. This is the concealer that I'm going to use, and just like the foundation, too light or my complexion, right? So that come like too dark if you want to do highlight. So what I am going to do is mix those two colors at the back of my hand palette. And I'm going to mix that, and it's the same brush that I use with the color corrector because it's going in the same area anyway, so it don't matter. Anyways, mix those two colors, and I'm going to do the same type where I dab and diffuse it. Make sure it's evenly distributed in the brush and not too much on the brush, and then start and apply it, right? So as you can see, it's making a difference. I don't know if you could tell, but I could tell. Okay, it make a difference, right? It open up my eye, make it look like I get some sleep last night. Anyways, yes, so this is the technique that I've been using, and honestly I find it working so far. So it's like I'm building up the coverage. It have a lot of makeup under my eyes, yes, but the way you apply it makes the world of a difference. And I'm going back with that same spray and spray the brush, and then I am going to apply it once again over the concealer to moisturize and make sure it's still flexible and whatnot. Apart from the flexibility, you want to make sure you keep under the eye moisturized, and also make sure I blend out the concealer properly, right? I don't know why I blew the brush. I don't know. I don't know. All I did was spray it with the same mixer. I don't know why I blew. Anyways. Do the same thing to the both eyes, and if you want, you can make it brighter as well, which is what I'm doing here. I apply more of the lighter of the two concealer to brighten up my eye area. But if you notice, I'm applying not throughout the whole under eye area. I'm focusing on one area, and then I'm going to diffuse the ends of it, so it will give the illusion of under eye brightness, but it's not completely under the whole eye, if that makes any sense. If you understand what I'm saying, I'm staying within a certain region, okay? And I'm diffusing the rest. And once again, after all of this, make sure and spray that same mixture, right? So I'm just going to blend out all my highlights one time, and then I'm going to spray the same spray. Also, what I do here is to further diffuse the highlight area, I go back with the foundation brush and just pass it over the areas that I apply this concealer. And people with makeup, it's not a one step and they move on and they go on, however, I never go back to that step. With makeup, it is a back and forth. It is a dance. You put on foundation, you use the foundation brush once again to diffuse something, you put back more, you want less, you use more foundation. However, it's a back and forth fluid movement, back and forth with every single thing, right? And like I say, how I use mixture with the brush and the sponge, you don't have to just use sponge, you don't have to just use brush, you use whatever makes you comfortable using. And like I say, with the sponge you get more of an airbrush look, but it also does not make the makeup heavy, so it is it's like it is take off some of the foundation. But anyways, as you can see, I'm wetting the sponge with that same glycerin water mix, and I'm going to use that to blend out on the under eye area. Also, it will help take off some of the concealer so it will not be too heavy under the eye. And then I'm going to set that with a setting powder. You can use whichever one you would like to use, or whatever if you're comfortable using. What I'm showing you is the technique. What you need to pay attention to is that you take a little bit, and as you can see, I did use my hand and I was moving the brush with the powder in my hand to blend it to make sure it diffuse evenly in the brush and it will be smooth and not too much powder. So as you can see, I apply that under my eye. I am not even seeing no sort of powder, but it is set, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other eye. I'm going to use the sponge to make sure everything is blended out properly, it's set properly, and then I'm going to set everything with the powder. And like I said, the under eye need to remain flexible, so that is why we are not using too much of the powder. Okay, if you use too much powder, it will set, and remember we have creases, it will set with the crease in one particular way, and then when you move your face, you smile and whatever, it will make the crease lines and make it look horrible. So that's why we do not need, or we do not use too much powder on the under eye area, because it will set it like that and you will see too much of the smile line. So less is more, especially when it comes to the setting it with the powder. Now if you want to use more powder to highlight and give your under eye a glow, no problem, but you see where I apply the powder, it is not where the crease lines are, it is more by my cheekbones or wherever to make it look more highlighted. Yeah, those are the places of your face that you could bake, but you can't, you see right under the eye where all them couple buckle lines is? No honey, do not put too much powder there, we'll end up in problems. Okay, and you do something similar for the rest of your face. You make sure the powder is evenly distributed in the brush, and then you're going to take that brush and dab it onto your face. Well, this is what I like to dab it on first, and then after I finish dab it in all the areas I want to have that powder. Then I'm going to use the same brush and diffuse the powder throughout my face. Right, so dab in all the areas I want to make sure I have powder in, because I live in a hot country. Okay, we need the powder no matter how dry your skin is. And then we take the brush and blend it out properly. Blend out all that extra powder. Don't let, you can't leave the house with that powder looking, so you gotta blend it properly. Okay. And now moving on to blush, I end up changing my mind and going with a more neutral, kind of corally, rosy kind of color of a blush. I was thinking about doing pink. I was just all over the place. But anyways, this is the blush color that I settled with. It's from Milani. I love Milani. I don't know why I wonderful and have no sort of Milani products. Again, they need to get it together. Get it together, wonderful, right? And then we're going to spray the face with that same glycerin and water mixture, because it helps to marinate the powder with the foundation, so it's set but it's not too dry, if that makes any sense. I don't know. Anyways, after that I use a fixing spray, right, to make sure everything stays where you want it to stay. Honestly, I don't think I should use too much fixing spray just under the eye, but to see the rest of the face, yeah. Anyways, so I'm using a Jordana eye pencil, and I'm lining my lips with that. Right, after that you blend it out. You could use your finger, you could use the bottom of the pencil, or you could do what I do to blend it out, because I find once the pencil is soft enough, this in my opinion blends it out to the amount that I would like it to blend out to. Is not a problem for me. Anyways, for the lips now, I'm using that same concealer. Yes, I'm just using the lighter of the two shades. As you can see how bright it is. I'm using that to highlight the inner of my lip, and I'm using that plumping lip gloss, and I'm going to apply it with a lip brush, because I don't know, I apply a brush, I don't know. I just don't like using the same thing on me because I might use it on somebody else because as people makeup, as my friends on my makeup and whatnot now and then. So instead of putting everything, using everything on my skin directly, I prefer use brushes, and I use brushes on whoever I'm doing makeup on, so that way everything stays sanitized. Boom. Anyways, yeah. So I'm using that plumping lip gloss. It have a little pink shade to it, so it kind of give a little pinkness to the inner part of the lips were highlighted already. And I'm going in with this Fix It spray. I do not like how that Fix It spray smells. It smells like chemicals. Anyways, so I'm going with this highlighter that I had for forever. And when I say forever, for me, you know, COVID is a new time zone, right? It's a new time frame that everybody understands the time frame. So when I say something pre-COVID, you know how long it was, right? So that highlighter is pre-COVID, okay? Anyways, yes, I just highlighted the face, and this is the final look. And do hope that you like it. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Oh, alright, later.